We welcome in Mark Tisdel, Republican of Rochester Hills, representing Michigan's 55th District. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Guy, Jamie, and Lloyd.
It was on the tip of your tongue.
It was there. It's there.
Yeah.
How could I forget senior news analyst?
That's right. I feel like we should have a wheel here and just spin it because there are so many issues to talk with you about. But let's start with the one that I know as we were discussing it yesterday, you were just itching to call in. And but that is this idea that the Democrats have a green energy agenda. They have put it out there. They want to be carbon-free by 2040. They've actually moved the goalpost. It used to be faster than that. It was 2035. So just give us your deep concerns about this, especially as it relates to local control over the destiny of rural and urban areas.
Well, local control is important. Local changes in the laws and zoning codes and enforcement can be addressed more easily by when they overreach. So that's one of the reasons you want to keep it local. But as I was listening yesterday and I heard the representative extolling the virtues of solar power. We've been sold on this idea, and it's been the world-class marketing effort for decades. We've been sold on this idea that somehow solar and wind are cleaner and cheaper than the fossil fuels that we're burning, and it just isn't true. And if you allow me a little bit of time, on the cleaner part, particularly with solar, which is what the governor's My Healthy Climate Plan is aiming at. DTE is committed to 10 million solar panels installed, and consumers is committed to 8,000 megawatts of installed power. And we'll come back to that. They're always talking about installed capacity. But solar starts off with forced labor in China that controls a significant portion of this. That's where the imprisoned Uyghurs come in. Then you take the quartz, you turn it into metallurgical grade silicon, which uses tremendous amounts of energy. And then the metallurgical grade silicon is turned into polycrystalline silicon, which uses 10 times the amount of energy of the initial refining. And then that polycrystalline silicon is turned into a monophotovoltaic single.
Okay, Mark, let's not get too deep into the weeds on the chemistry, okay?
The point is, if you don't like forced labor, if you don't like CO2, if you don't like PFAS, if you don't like once you have this huge loaf of polycrystalline silicon, that gets sawed into wafers. Half of it goes into the landfill as waste.
So bottom line, you're expanding your carbon footprint while you're trying to reduce your carbon footprint.
And it's the worst return on energy invested. Energy return on energy invested. It's the least efficient thing that you could possibly add to our electrical grid.
Representative, I know Mayor Mike Duggan was trying to get a vote in the Michigan House to put this land value tax ballot proposal before Detroit voters, and it failed. It was, I understand, the chamber deadlocked 50-50. You had 8 members that didn't vote, 2 were absent. You had 13 Republicans who broke ranks to support the bill, but 10 Democrats opposed it, and several other Democrats abstained. So what's going on? How come this bill can't get through? And is it an education issue that people need to be more educated on what it is?
Well, I was one of the 12 Republicans I believe it was 12 that voted for it. The tax scheme in Detroit over the last half century has not produced sterling results. If this is what the mayor wants to try, it would have to be approved by the city council and by a ballot initiative of the people. If this is what the mayor wants to try, more power to him and good luck. General economics, you get more of what you subsidize and less of what you tax. Right. Detroit tax function has been taxing development and subsidizing blight really for a long time. Mm-hmm. I say give it a go.
Well, and the question is, why not allow Detroit-based people have a say?
Because it's got to go on
in
the
what
ballot.
happens.
On the ballot.
I don't understand the Detroit-based reps opposing this. Let the people speak to it. That's all we're asking for.
Well, they might be using their vote as a negotiation for something else. And the stated purpose is that this is somehow a giveaway to the billionaires and the elite class. But there are an awful lot of people in Detroit neighborhoods that are paying top millage rates in the state for, I would say, sub-average services rendered.
I appreciate
it would tax
your
the
support,
people that aren't developing these sites too. So
exactly.
Okay, let's spin the wheel for our other topic for you. The bipartisan House resolution had 55 other state representatives, including Representative Donnie Steele. We're reading a press release there. Why not bring it up
on Hamas?
On
Hamas atrocity.
Hamas.
Well, the gavel is controlled by the Democrats, and I realize that theirs is a coalition of groups that they need to maintain for election purposes, and it can be a very tricky path for them to walk if you're. It sounds like you're being critical of one of those coalition members. So I don't envy them their position, but the bad news is pretty obvious, and the bad actors are also pretty obvious in this, and they're going to have to figure out a way to explain it to their voters.
Yeah, and finally, as the wheel stops spinning, we had the governor's population council meeting yesterday. There was a 1-hour notice to reporters. We were told we could only watch on Zoom. The audio was lousy. When reporters showed up to try to cover it in person, they were told not only that they couldn't come in the meeting room, but that the denial was supposed to be off the record. If this is their idea of transparency, it's a massive fail, Mark. And Patrick Anderson came out and said, look, my dissent on the pre-K recommendations and the education recommendations, they wouldn't allow my dissent to be part of the record. What's going on?
Well, part of the problem is the answers are not what they want to discuss. Michigan is still one of the top 10 outflow population states. If you take a look at our corporate income tax rate, it's 30% higher than the average of the top 10 inflow population states. Our electricity costs are 40% higher than the average of the top 10 inflow states. And these are issues that current policy direction is only making worse. So, and we have a very uncompetitive average January temperature. All of the other elements that go into living here have to be top drawer. They have to be the best in the country. And the current policy are taking them in the opposite direction.
Well, if they want this effort to have credibility, if they don't want it to look like a tax hike star chamber, they need to let reporters in the room. And Craig Mauger, Chad Livengood, and others called him out on it, and thank goodness other reporters did as well. But we hopefully will have better luck next time. Representative Tisdel, this is one of those segments that we could go on for, because I wanted to talk about abortion with you as well. We'll have to do that at another time. Have a wonderful weekend.
Well, I didn't mean to go so deep in the weeds on the solar.
We're journalists.
A little tiny bit there.
Don't start throwing If we could have passed chemistry, we'd be in other jobs.
Just remember, it's not clean and it's not cheap.
All right. Representative Tisdel.